Yeah. Is
Oh,
that a
there we go.
common thing, is it?
I'm back.
Everyone just turns to shit on D&D anyway.
Oh,
Yarp.
it's usually how it works. Oh, no, it's just my mic audio and stuff. Got to make sure I've got the right. Because it's on gaming still. Why'd that switch over? Profile. There we go. I just switched the wrong profile for some reason. I don't know why it's switching profiles like that. Shouldn't be. But welcome everybody to the next D&D evening. I'm just going to fix something up here quickly. I know what's causing it. Crap off.
Yarg.
Damn, I have to refresh because I'm still seeing the other game.
Should all be up by now. Tweeted. Yep, tweet's gone out. We're up. We're live.
Your twit.
I tweeted my tweet. So yeah, we're back live. We're here. Great. Thanks everybody for tuning up. Tonight we've got a couple of players that are going to be a little bit late. So before we get started, just got a few small announcements. Firstly and foremostly, a massive thank you to Mr. Ala Dream, who popped into Friday night stream and dropped 11 subs. He subbed himself and then gifted 10 subs to the community. So we hit our sub goal of 25 subs, which prompted the giveaway that I said I was going to do when I hit 25 subs, which we didn't expect we were going to hit quite so soon, but going to do it. So we have on the 22nd of November live on stream, we're going to do a giveaway from my merch store. We're going to give away 3 t-shirts to the subs. So it's a subs only draw. Any subs between now and the 22nd will be eligible as well. So don't think that if you're not subbed and you want to sub and you want to get enter in the draw, you will be eligible as long as you are subbed. So far, I've got the list of subs that are in the draw on my little notepad here. What we're going to do is we're just going to grab a random number generator. We're going to put the numbers in, and we're going to do 3 draws, so 3 t-shirts. You got two designs to choose from. So we've got the Moshpit logo, which is the red skull with the upside down cross and pentagram, and then we've got the ugly kiwi logo, which is the silver and grey skull with the TUK in it. So both those designs are on the merch store. I will find you a link for the merch store right now before I forget. I'll just chuck that in the chat. So there's the link to the merch store. Both logos are there. Just to show you guys on the stream. The 2 logos there side by side. So you got the pentagram logo and the TUK, the ugly kiwi logo. Those are the 2 designs you get to choose from. And if you're looking at other merch too, so much other stuff on the website. We've got duvet covers, we've got shower curtains, bath mats, socks, all sorts of stuff. There's so many stuff. We don't have a shower curtain to put. We don't have a shower rail for a curtain. We've got doors.
I know.
So yeah, so there's that. So check out the merch store anyway. I say we've got stickers, we've got coasters. There's just tons and tons of products there, all at reasonable prices. International shipping, all in Aussie dollars. So those obviously in America and UK. Holy shitballs, Nutty. Gesundheit to Nutty, who just blew her eardrums to pieces. So that's all available there. That will be on the 22nd live on stream. You do not have to be on stream or in the stream to win. Just be aware of that. So, but I would like to see as many of the subs in channel on that night as possible. That would be very much appreciated. Although you don't have to be here if you can't make it. I think that's all the announcements on that side of things. Just again, as a reminder, this particular stream will have its last, well, not the last, but its last one for this year on the 8th of December will be the last episode for this year. We're going to take a break over Christmas, New Year, and come back in after the New Year. I'm not sure what date that'll be at this stage, but I will announce it closer to the time. But 8th of December will be the last episode for Paradym Bold on stream, in which time we'll be doing a time jump and a bit of training and bits and pieces. So there will be time between sort of the 8th and when we come back where I'll get with all the players on Discord again. We'll set a night, Sunday night or something, just to get together on the Discord and discuss some things, discuss who wants to do what training we want to look at, because I'm going to essentially allow you guys to a free level. You'll gain a level in that 6 months. You'll also be able to pick another language to speak, to learn over that 6 months. And
Right.
maybe either a homebrew or a skill of your choice out of the skills tools list. So it'll either be a homebrew skill or something off that tools list, something in sort of in those realms which you can learn over that 6 months. Whether you remain together as a group and do things as a group in that 6 months, or whether you separate for a portion of that 6 months, but it'll essentially be a 6-month time jump. So it'll be certain things within the story would have progressed. I obviously you've touched on the beginnings of this prophecy, so that prophecy progression would have changed a little bit when you come back. Things you've done would have changed a little bit, so there may be certain positions within the guild may have changed. Things within the city of Evldoa may have changed a little bit as well, so there will be some things we'll have to discuss on before we come back. But the first show back will be essentially we all get together and we'll be going through what everyone did in that 6 months and doing some dice rolls and some checks, just again just to see how well you trained in particular things and what you wanted to do, and whether you gained proficiencies in the language or anything else, or any other proficiencies in that time. So it'll be kind of like a shopping episode, but more of a, hey, I did this over summer break kind of episode. So everyone will be telling their own story somewhat, as well as obviously there'll be some story over the whole campaign, which I'll narrate back to the group at the time. So, not going to wait too long for these guys. I know Fio's going to be a little bit later than Trashman. Trashman should be here very shortly. So we're going to get into the recap anyway, and these guys know what happened roughly last week, but we'll do a quick recap for those viewers that are here.
Happened last night, let alone last week.
Going to go back to our slideshow here for a second, and I will organize the recap. Our music running here. So, where we left off last episode, our group of heroes had boarded a ship from the city of Evldoa to head to the Graven Wastes to Het's home in order for Het to be able to send off his brother, who was killed in a battle with a dragon in a far off land. Has been returned home, and Het feels that he should be home, at least if he can't make it for the ceremony, but just to pass on or pay his respects to one of his older brothers. He set off towards the Graven Wastes. The first day on the ship went without too many hassles. Alessandra vomited for a few hours, and after a while passed out and was taken below decks to a cabin to rest and recuperate till she found her sea legs. Het took a liking to the ship's cook, Riska, and has spent much of his time over the last 2 or 3 days in romantic interludes, shall we say, with the ship's cook. Some of you decided that you would like to learn some nautical skills while aboard the Monarch's Wrath, the ship helmed by Eingart. First off, we had Nomaris learning some navigation skills. Sadiq spent some time with the Cannoneers and with the quartermaster. Fiala helped in the crow's nest and other duties, looking after ship's watch and such. Alessandra spent some time with the crew, learning some nautical knots and rigging and things of that nature. On the third night, however, Fiala and Nomaris were invited to help with the evening's watch, and the ship was attacked by a raiding party of Sahuagin, fish people. You fought hard. Nomaris and Het both fell in the battle. The creatures were defeated, and the party and crew were able to then be healed and relax once more as you continue the journey to Het's homeland. And this is where we pick up our story Journey Across the Sea, Part 2, Episode 16, where we find our group still on board the Monarch's Wrath, heading towards the cove in the north of the Graven Wastes. Fiala and Alessandros are both still below decks. The rest of you have risen, have decided, they've already gone below decks to rest. The rest of you have decided that after this battle, you need a well-earned rest. Ship's captain has come to you and stated, you guys, because you defended the ship so well, he's happy for you guys just to rest up, and his crew will take care of the evening's watch, the rest of the watch, and so you guys don't have to worry about staying up any form of watch. So just to begin from that, there you all retreat to your cabins, or in Het's case, he may retreat to Riska's cabin, whichever is his preference of this evening.
Het was pretty destroyed, so he was going to go to his own cabin this time
He's
around.
going to go to his own cabin. Right you are. Het retreats to his own cabin, as does Neymaris. She retreats to the cabin she was sharing with Alessandros and Fiala, though they are both already pretty much out to it. Sadiq and Het return to their own cabin, and you all lay your heads down for a well-earned rest after an early morning battle with a raiding party from the sea. So you may all take your log rest. There'll be nothing much will happen during the evening. The watch goes without any sort of incident. Full HP, full spell slots returned, and everything else. Through the course of the evening, Miss Neymaris, before you wake in the next morning, you have another one of those very vivid dreams. Your warrior spirit, we will call her, comes to you again and gives you another warning of losing control. She informs you that every time you lose control and your temper or your anger gets the better of you, you lose a little bit of yourself, and to be aware of such things.
Right.
It's a restless sleep, but it's not a sleep where you don't actually get enough rest. So you still gain the benefits of a long rest. You don't become exhausted or anything like that. You just, when you do wake in the morning, you are very aware of what has been said to you, and it is starting to weigh a little heavy on your conscience. You're starting to worry about it a little bit now, about what this may mean, because you're still not 100% sure. You now know where you come from in that respect, but you're now starting to worry what this whole warrior spirit means by losing yourself. You're definitely nervous, shall we say, about this whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
Het, you spend the evening again after you're completely wrecked, but as you're sort of drifting off to sleep, your thoughts drift to home and to the impending, obviously, re-meeting with your parents after being gone for probably now would be 2 or 3 months. You've probably been gone from home, and you're wondering what your father may say or not say, or may think about what you've done or not done. You know you're going to be happy to see your mother, and you know that she's going to be proud of you no matter what you do, but your thoughts sort of turn to the interaction that's impending with your father, and obviously with the loss of one of his sons in a great battle with this beast, and being one of the oldest brother. You are quite nervous about returning home, but you know you have to. So you're brave enough, you're strong enough in mind that you know you're going to be okay, but you're still quite nervous about speaking with your father again after some time. Sadiq, your thoughts again turn to the township of Sira, which you know as you are nearing the Cove of Gaven Waste, you know is to the northeast, and probably not that far away. I mean, it's still a reasonable distance, but all you can really think about is this being that has possibly sacked another town, or may still be there. You don't know, you're not sure, but you're totally consumed by the prospect of catching up with this individual, or at least finding more information. You are also a little torn because you've gotten to know these guys a little bit, even though you've only spent a short time with them. And the few battles that you've been involved with them now, you're seeing great potential in this group from an ally's perspective, and you know that pressing forward, and especially with your journey ahead, and now with talks of this prophecy, that you've pretty much figured out that your path and the prophecy's path are going to cross quite severely. So you know these guys are going to be a great help to you, and but you also have this little bit of worry. You've already lost a group previously to obviously a situation in Redfield where you didn't know those guys very well, but they had been with you for a little bit of time, and they obviously now are all gone, and you are not, and you've now been put with another group who seem very capable, but you're also very concerned that you're going to lose yet another party of allies / friends in a combat with possibly this being, this vampire that you so desperately want to hunt down and seek revenge for what he did to you. Alessandros, as you drift off to sleep, your thoughts turn to a message on the notice board at the Vallon City Guild House. You didn't read it too much, but in passing you did notice the name on this bill, this quest, if you will, and it sent shivers down your spine. You now thinking back on it, think, shit, I still look like this person. What am I going to do? How am I going to approach this? Some of the group already know about what you are, and you changing your form to them would probably not pose any problems. But you're still very concerned about how to approach it if and when the group decides to take that quest, or are indeed given that quest by the Guildmaster. So that particular quest it plays heavy on your mind, but it doesn't stop you from reading it. Yeah, Nutty's dying in the background, people. Just excuse the coughing and the spluttering. So yeah, that is pretty much our rest for the evening. You all come to wake in the later morning, because it was sort of early morning when the attack happened. So you wake in the sort of mid morning, 9:30, 10ish, after you get your full 8 hours, and you pretty much, what are you going to do? It's up to you guys what you want to do.
Well, I am definitely going to get a good night's sleep. Probably check over my equipment and do any repairs that need doing.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what everyone can do if you wish to do that. Make repairs to armor and things, sharpen weapons, all that sort of stuff.
That might need to sharpen his teeth.
You're a bit quiet there, Mr. Alessandros, or Mrs. Alessandro.
I think I'm just gonna go back up on deck and get some fresh air and just clear my head.
Okay.
Pet might need to sharpen his teeth, I reckon.
Oh, no, about that.
He just too free checking his claws and teeth after that battle. Thinks he may have lost a few.
It's quite possible. I mean, Het did go down, and while Het's sort of checking over himself and runs his finger across his through his gums just to make sure he hasn't lost any, and sure enough, you notice a loose tooth. hasn't come completely away, but it's definitely loose. It's definitely loose. You could probably come out at some stage very soon. I mean, you could remove it yourself if
It
you
will
wanted
poke it back in as far as he can.
to. Are you going to poke it back in?
It's not out. I'm just shoving it in hard, hoping it will heal in place.
You take 2 points of piercing damage by you generally basically stab your finger because it's sharp teeth. I mean, you go to poke it back in with your finger and stab yourself in the finger. But yes, so for all intents and purposes, yeah, you guys have had a rough night. I mean, the battle was tough. None of you have seen these sea creatures before. In fact, Fiela's still passed out in her bed. She's absolutely shattered. You all fought exceptionally well, and lots of healing spells were thrown around to keep everyone sort of alive and well. It's going back to the map. You are now... Where's my mouse? There it is. You're now sort of cruising into where the borders of the Sea of Pearls and the Glass Sea would be. It's windy but not windy. It's a sort of a cloudyish, somewhat clear day. The ship is in full swing. The crew is going about their business and doing what the crew does. The captain's at the helm. The navigator's there. They're sort of busy, sort of pointing in the right direction. They know within the next sort of day and a half, you're going to be sort of moving through some shallows and some small atolls and things heading into the cove, into the Graving Wastes north of Arnes in the Twilight Jungle. So he knows it's going to be a bit of a journey there. So you can see them sort of working over the maps and making sure they're moving in the right direction. As far as the crew's concerned, nothing too much is out of place on board. I mean, obviously they lost a few crew during the evening's battle, and at one point there, you're all called to a burial at sea for a couple of crew members, which bodies that weren't taken, and the small ceremony on the deck of the boat where the body's being wrapped in linens. The captain stands there with the first mate and the quartermaster, says a few words over each body, and they then inter the body to the water. And small service, short, sweet, nothing very too formal. Obviously, they don't want to keep the bodies on board. Not a good thing to have dead bodies on a boat with possible disease and everything else. So through the course of the day, you all sort of wander around the boat doing various things. Again, you can spend time with the various people that you've already been spent time with and continue learning those nautical skills and making yourselves useful. You see the usual things on the water. You see a whale every now and again. There's dolphins. You don't see the sharks this time like you did previously. So those... Actually, everyone roll just a quick intelligence check for me if you're on deck.
I'm dumb.
What
I
was your
got
roll?
a 1.
You got a nat 1? So,
Which would make me a 0.
so Nutty doesn't remember anything. Well, no, Maris doesn't remember a thing, sorry. 10 from you, Sadiq?
Yeah.
14.
14, Alessandros, and Hits.
Hit gets 7.
7. Yeah, average roll 10. We'll make it around 10. So you guys, all except for Nomaris, is completely distracted and just doesn't really remember the sharks or anything like that. But you seem to, obviously the sharks that you'd noticed previously were obviously possibly scouting the boat for the impending raid. And to have those sharks not there now it kind of reiterates that with you guys. You kind of think, it kind of makes sense. That from what possibly you would know about this, reading about Sahagin, is that they worship a shark god, and that they utilize sharks for transport and scouting and all that sort of stuff. So
I
Hit
just
would
want to...
relay that information to the team.
You. I just want to ask Hit something.
Yeah, the deck is yours.
Are we going to see any little dragon
Speak up.
eggs being laid anytime soon?
Remember to speak
Well,
up.
Hit doesn't
buddy.
think Hit is pregnant.
And you know, because all the time you've been spending down, and you know that
You're whispering again.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, 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 we're just having a little party ourselves. Just a bit of excitement for the boat ride, really. Nothing serious.
So
Uh-huh.
you think. You don't know what she thinks.
It is what Hit thinks. No, I don't think halflings lay eggs. I'm not sure if you understand how the type of bodies you people have work.
I just don't know about Dragonborn, because don't you guys come from egg?
No, I was kidding back then when we had that discussion.
Oh right, it's that zero intelligence. I just rolled. I'm sure.
Eggs. We are pretty much conceived in the same way as most mammals. You have a patch on your belly, don't you?
I look down and I'm like looking at him and looking at my belly, and I'm going, does it look like I have a pouch in my belly?
Sometimes I wonder where you put all those mushrooms.
Them go straight to my leg.
She got a pouch in your legs? What?
He's just joking. He knows you have no patch. No, it's fairly ordinary. The way we conceive.
Oh right, okay. Don't know why I had to ask, but you know, I just had the urge.
It's okay. I understand that you need to know what's going on in other people's lives.
That's just called being female.
Good. Hit strolls around the deck laughing after that conversation.
Anyone else will want to have a conversation? Are we... Sadiq, maybe? Elsandras?
I'm just still tending to my wounds.
Attending to you. So, what you guys will find as you sort of progress through, Alessandra sort of finds a spot kind of near the railing on the boat.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare!
Towards the rear of the boat, sort of, if you see, I've got the boat up there. Towards the rear, life raft, she sort of sits up there, where the wind, like the ship's moving quite briskly, so you got the wind sort of fresh on your face, that fresh air, and you're sort of there, Pat, sort of bandaging up a couple of wounds and sort of contemplating the night before. Again, you've never seen a Sahuagin either, and it was kind of weird to see these people that look like fish walking on two legs and breathing fresh air. But again, your mind drifts back to that quest that was pinned on the board, and what you should or should not do. I mean, you know Sadiq has no idea of your true form. The rest of the group pretty much does, I think. I don't know if Fiala does or not. But you know, obviously Het and Namaris both do, so you're not really too concerned about them. Namaris, what are you doing? Het's wandering around the boat, chuckling to himself after his exchange with you. What were you doing after that conversation?
I was just gonna go and find a place and have a look at my gear and give it a
Can't hear you.
polish. I was going to go and find a little place just to sit down and have a little chat with Helm and have a look at my
Have a look at your what?
gear.
Gear?
Maintaining her gear.
Maintaining?
I was going to polish my great sword axe thing, you know, the thing I don't know whether it's an axe or a sword.
Sword axe.
This sword axe or an axe sword, one of the two. So you go find a nice, reasonable quiet spot on deck in the sun, and same thing. Generally just sitting there, talking to yourself, kinda, and
I might be
making-
talking to my
making
forest spirit.
making a couple of silent prayers to your god Helm, and about where you would like to maybe go in the future and what you're wanting to do, and polishing your sword axe.
I thought it was 996. Oh, sorry, wrong game.
No, 996 here, dude. And Sadiq, what are you up to, sir?
I'm gonna go over and help Namaris maintain her gear.
I look him up and down, and I'm like, what do you use on yours?
Oh, God.
Hand over the Weltstone and go, normally just this. For my
Yeah.
sword.
He uses a whetstone on his sword.
And then I pull out my little Tinker's kit and the smithing tools and go, and I use this other stuff for this other stuff. What do you normally use?
I've got a piece of cloth in my hand that I've got a little bit of oil on, and I'm just rubbing my
You're
You what now? You rubbing your what?
sword.
Sword.
Headstrong's overseeing this, and he leans in. He says, "I see. Is this how you work with your sword axe? Excellent. Have you ever thought of changing its name to a sax?"
Well, I was going to say swax, but I wasn't quite sure if that would go down.
Just be careful
She's
who you
gonna-
tell that you're
she's
rubbing
gonna
an oily cloth on your sax.
She's gonna swack you with her swacks.
So, does anybody have any mushrooms?
No mushrooms.
Damn
Don't
it.
want fungus on your sax.
And it all went downhill from there.
Oh God,
It's gonna be one of those nights.
I think so.
I think so.
Excuse me.
I think you're on fire, my friend.
Oh jeez. So as you, as the two, what should I say? How should the two fighter classes spend time polishing their swords and comparing sword sizes? I would imagine.
Technique.
Yes, comparing technique. Yeah, and oiling their sacks. The day progresses without too much hassle. Like again, like it's a pretty nice day. You're all battle worn, and you're still fairly sort of run down from the evening before. But for the whole day, you're watching the horizon. By the end of this day, if you were still out on the boat, you would now probably notice the shoreline looming in the distance. And you'd
Hey, there's a shoreline looming in the distance.
you would recognise the shoreline probably as the Graven Waste. It's a very distinctive coastline. Hey Quids, what's up? So we're now probably about a day's travel from the actual coast where you're going to dock and make sure Captain Eingart comes to you guys and says comes to us, hey, we're probably about a day out now. We're going to be navigating some of these small islands and atolls and things. So if you'd like to obviously get ready to breach shore tomorrow, probably mid-tomorrow afternoon, we're going to weigh anchor and set a longboat out. We should get you to shore. So we're not far away now. And once again, thank you for your help last evening. We did lose a couple of blokes, but we could have been a whole lot worse.
That's what we're here for. If there's a fight to be had, we'll have it and help you.
Well, mostly appreciated. You didn't have to. Most of our passengers hide below decks and cower and scream and piss themselves and shit. We have to clean up afterwards. It's not very nice, but good to see some people actually pitch it in.
Unfortunately, when you're in the city guard, you don't get the chance to do that because no.
Oh right, that's right. You're You want one of the fighter types. That's all good. But like I say, we got to bed just about a day to travel. I say we're going to be navigating a few small islands and atolls and reefs and things, so it's going to be a little slow going tomorrow afternoon. But I'd say 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow, we should be weighing anchor and be able to put you ashore and have you on the rest of your journey. I better get back to the thing, the steering wheel thing, the helm. That's it. I gotta get back to there and steer the boat and shit. So have yourself a good evening. Drink lots of rum, because you never know when you get rum like this again. And he turns and just takes off.
I look at him and I'm like, Captain, would you like me to take it for a bit? Because you sound a little bit.
No, it's okay. Roger's got it. I'm just giving him orders. It's great. Called being a captain.
Right. All right then.
But thank you anyway. You guys have done enough. And he sort of after that spins and heads back. So we're getting into the evening hours again. The captain's informed you don't need to watch again. He's going to make sure his crew is on full alert and full watch of the evening. So once again, you guys have the option. You have an evening meal, something to drink, and you can head back to your respective cabins for another evening's rest.
He's just going to stay on deck tonight as long as he can before he sleeps, just to clear his head and use his thoughts and maybe even put a bit of time into the Steel Lady.
Not a problem. So Het remains on deck. What is everyone else doing? Everyone heading below?
Oh, while we were at dinner, I just look at Sadiq and I kind of look at his face and I'm like, can I just touch that? Can I just touch your teeth?
Why would you want to touch my teeth?
I don't know, I'm just having this urge.
No.
The ones that stick out.
What ones that stick out?
You've
Oh,
got
you
a
mean
couple of-
my tusks?
Yes.
Yeah, your tusks.
Well, okay, I guess.
What do you do with them?
I open up things that need opening.
Alright, okay. That's pretty cool. I'm like looking going, that's really awesome.
Did you ask, Het what he does with his teeth?
Oh, I've seen what Hit does with his teeth.
Ah, okay.
I just give him a little wink and wander off.
Oop, broke my map. Alright, so any other exchanges before the evening's rest is taken?
Well, after that, I'm gonna go upstairs, probably see Het, and go up to him and say, what type of a situation are we gonna be going into here?
You mean, are you talking about this sort of ceremony at my home village?
Yes, like what's expected of us?
Oh, nothing. I mean, you don't have to do anything. I really just want to pop in, pay my respects, a little bit of business maybe with my parents, and then get on the way again. I really don't want to hold anyone up.
It's not Smeagol.
Ah, okay. And with that, I'm gonna turn around and go to.
Okay, so you're heading to your cabin. Everyone else heading back to respective cabins? You are, Miss Elishonish. You return. So you guys haven't seen Fiala all day. You return to your cabin, and Fiala's still out to it. She must have been absolutely zonked. She is still snoring her head off, and kind of sounds like a bear when she snores. It's kind of unnerving, a little bit. After you guys have seen her shape form into an ape and a spider, and when she snores, it kind of sounds like a grizzly bear. So it's a little bit unnerving for you guys, but kind of comforting at the same time. It's weird, just a weird ass feeling. But you return to your cabins and start your evening's rest. In the part of the evening hit, you remain on deck. The moon starts to sort of creep into the sky. The sky turns from that sort of blue into the reddish purples, then into the dark blue hues, then into night as the night takes the horizon. The moon rises. It's not a full moon, probably more 2/3, 3/4 moon, so it's still relatively bright. Nice clear evening. And you then start to again think about what's possibly going to happen when you return home, and pretty much whatever you want to do is up to you. If you wanted to speak to the Steel Lady, or
Yes, Hit will hold forth his loot, lean it on the deck, and just sort of rest his chin on it. Really just asking the Steel Lady to make the rest of the trip to his family and the time with his family safe and uncompromised, and maybe not so daunting.
and as you do, you sort of lean forward and with your chin on the head of your loot there, and on the evening breeze, you get a sense of comfort. You get a sense that the Steel Lady is indeed listening, has heard your prayer and your thoughts, and you get even though the night here is relatively cool and actually quite chilly at some points, you get that warm rush sort of in and around your shoulders and neck, which definitely makes you feel a lot more comfortable, and that she is definitely there listening. You get that sense that she's heard you, and you believe that she's going to look after you. Through the course of the next couple of hours, you stay on the deck. You aren't tired. You're sort of just again looking out over the ocean. You can still see over the clear night. You can see with the moonlight. You can see that shoreline and the horizon growing larger, ever so slightly as the ship sort of creeps towards that shoreline through the course of the evening. And probably, I would say, 10, 11 o'clock that evening, roughly around that sort of time, you head below decks, return to your cabin, and proceed to get the remainder of your rest for the evening. Through the course of the night, everyone sleeps well. No one really has any major hassles, no dreams, no untoward dreams, no nightmares, just regular night's sleep. Everyone rests well. In the morning, you hear, basically you are all woken by the sounds of the crew sort of all bustling and moving through the ship, getting ready for the day's tasks. You hear the captain shouting orders from the decks, preparing everyone for navigating the small islands and reefs and atolls heading into the grove. So you know you're not that far away. You're probably only a few hours, 5-6 hours away from docking in the shore, sort of early mid-afternoon, as Eingart did tell you the afternoon before. So you rise, you eat, you emerge to the deck. Fiala awakens and decides to stay in her cabin and decides to spend some time just with her own thoughts and the thoughts of her predecessor, trying to make sense of what she'd seen in the forest earlier. So she just says to you girls, as you guys sort of head up, she says, I'm just going to stay here. I want to just contemplate a few things. I'll be up a bit later. And so you guys head off and leave her to herself. Back on decks, again, the crew is bustling around. The riggers are changing the ship's sail, so they're not full sail, sort of almost like 2/3 sail, to slow the ship down so you're not sort of barreling headlong into these reefs and atolls and small islands. The ship needs to be able to maneuver reasonably quickly and well, so there's a lot of bustle on deck. You breach the first set of islands, heading into the grove, and sort of round about this area now, and he's going to have to sort of navigate through this area here. There's a bunch of shallow reefs which you need to navigate through. which they do get through the first part. No real hassles. You hear the sounds of shallow water beneath the ship. It sounds different than being in the deep waters. You guys are all sort of leaning over the side, sort of looking in the water. The water's quite clear, and you can see the reef. You can see the bottom of the ocean. You know it's shallow, and it's a little unnerving to watch this big 2.5, 3 mast ship navigate these small channels and reefs which are coming through in these small islands. Another hour or two passes. Next lot of reefs come up. This time you hear the sound of coral on wood as the ship sort of gets a little too close to one of the reefs, scrapes along the bottom of one side, and there's this real low sound as it comes through the water. Bits of coral float to the surface and bubbles and things like that, and you hear the captain shout, "Hands below deck, check the hull!" And a couple of guys rush down deck to make sure there's been no hull breach. Welcome back, Mr. Beggar. So luckily doesn't seem like there's been any major damage. You can hear some hammering and stuff down and below decks as they sort of make some quick and fast repairs. Ship turns towards into a bit of a channel. So it's a nice calm channel they've turned into, which is sort of right in the center here. Then sort of you hear the captain again saying, yelling out, "All prepare for shallow waters," coming up to the next shallow reef. Makes a sharp left turn and then an attack back to the right. Again, you hear that scraping of coral on the bottom of the ship. You hear the sound of splintering timbers and rushing water. And people are sort of running to and fro. You've got more timber and manpower going below decks to patch a breach in the hull. Captain doesn't seem too panicked. It seems like he's done this a few times before and he's expecting to take some damage. Another hour passes coming through some more shallow reefs. Seem to get through without too many hassles, and then you finally break into a large lagoon and you see the quite large cliffs and small beaches along the shoreline, which you recognize as the northernmost part of the Twilight Jungle, leading into the Hatanko jungle area, which is north of your hometown. The cove is secluded. It is not easy to get to, as you've just seen with the ship doing its thing and actually taking a reasonable amount of damage. The captain pretty much states that they're going to have to stay here, sort of anchor here for the evening, so to make some repairs before they can turn and head back to wherever they were supposed to be going, which was probably off to Blofi or up to Adren. But he will stay there the evening. He approaches you and says, "Right, we've made it. We can offer you a longboat to take you to shore, and we can drop you off on the closest beach, which will be." And he sort of points off to the distance. You can see a small white sand beach, which looks like it has a bit of a path leading up into the cliffs, heading towards where your hometown would be.
Sweet.
Can we swim?
You're probably you're 200 or 300 yards offshore. Like the ship can't dock in shallow water, so the ship is anchored out in reasonably deep water. So he's offered a longboat. They're going to drop a longboat and take you to shore.
Oh no,
So
I mean, can we actually swim?
I don't know. Can you swim?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Have you ever seen? Or you've lived?
I have.
You've lived in a city surrounded by water, but have you ever swum?
I don't know.
Roll.
I would have thought I would
I'll
have.
tell you what. Roll a d20. Just roll a d20 and tell me what you get.
10.
Yes, you can swim.
Right.
Not very well, but you can swim.
Okay.
I'm taking the damn boat.
Oh no, I was
Fine.
just. It was a question. I was like, oh, we're in all this water, and what happens if we?
Well, the thing is, it would be totally up to where you were from, basically. If you were from a water-bearing place, I would imagine you would be able to swim. How well you can swim would be determined by probably dexterity or athletics. I'd say probably actually dexterity, maybe strength even. But either way, you are all ready to leave the ship, leave the Monarch's Wrath, and head to the coast. Captain turns around and puts his hand on your shoulder, Het, and again offers condolences for your loss, and actually hands you a pouch of 150 gold, and says, I'm giving this back to you guys because I mean you helped us out on the boat. You didn't have to help us out, and you fought well, and I think you deserve to have some of this back. So I'm refunding 150 gold for your guys' help, and I appreciate it very much.
Well, I'll tell you what, Captain. Captain, I say you should keep this gold because we're probably going to need your services again someday, and I want you to remember us. So hold on to this gold. Don't give it back.
And he takes it back and nods, and again extends his hand out in the old warrior's handshake, forearm to forearm type dealy, and says,
It reciprocates.
I will most certainly remember you guys. And as I say, not many of my passengers were willing to help out in a battle and do as well as you did. I mean, you did a fine job, and I'd be proud to have you aboard my ship again. Wish you all the best. And he sort of waves to you all, and again wishes you all the best, and again to you, Het, sort of bows and offers condolences for your loss, and hopes your journey is a good one.
Thank you, kind sir.
So you all pile into the longboat, which is now sitting in the water, down the rope ladder, one by one, sitting in the longboat, and a couple of crewmen have been provided to row the boat there and back. Takes about 25 minutes, half hour to row the 300-400 feet to the shore. You get to close enough to the shore where it's shallow enough you can all hop out of the boat and proceed up the shoreline. You get to the shoreline and it is white sand, probably 300-400 feet down to your right, and down to your left you see another probably 250 feet of white sand before it sort of disappears around into large jagged white cliffs, and to the right you see a small path which leads into the cliff face, and sort of further around to the coast.
Does Het know the way through here?
Roll a intelligence check for me with advantage.
That would be 13.
13. I would say you've probably been here a few times, maybe as a young Dragonborn. So I wouldn't say you know the way, but you know of the path, and you know the path definitely leads back into the Twilight Jungle, heading towards the city of Arnis. So you've got an idea of the direction you need to go, and you've got, just looking at it, you think, yeah, you're pretty certain that's where we need to go.
Het says to the team, hey team, I know like the back of my hand this place. This pathway here leads through the jungle, basically back to my village, Arnis. And he knows it's a city, but he always says village.
Yeah. Well, when I say city, it's a small town. Well, it's a small city. It's slightly larger than a town, but smaller than a city. So it's kind of in between.
Down.
It's a town. It's a town. Yeah, a sit down. What it is. Right, so you head towards the path then? You lead the group?
Yes, Het takes the lead, yes.
Het takes the lead. Can we get a quick marching order? So Het's in front, leading the way.
I'll be right behind Het. Somebody's
Okay.
got to watch his back.
So
behind Namara.
we'll put Sadiq and Fiona in the back.
Yeah, I'll be behind Fiala.
Okay, so we have a fighter in the rear. It's pretty good order. So we've got a good marching order there. So you guys, I said it's probably a couple hundred feet up the beach. It's a little slow going because of the sand. The sand's not a real soft white sand. It's not hot day, but it is very warm under feet. You can definitely feel the warmth from the sand coming through, and the warmth of the mid-afternoon. It'll take you probably 25 minutes to a half hour to sort of get up the beach and to a point where the sand is not quite so soft, and head towards this path and reach this path. When you get to the path, it is just that. It looks like an old goat trail. It's not well travelled. It's a little bit overgrown, but it's definitely passable. It's definitely been used. It's not been used often.
Would we have to be single file here?
No, the path's probably 10, 15 foot wide. It's just a little overgrown with sort of not so much vines or things like that. It's not really a jungle. The first part is kind of jungle-like, then it sort of leads more into forest as you head inland. So I would say that it's passable, but it'll be slow going, and you'd only be able to sort of travel at an average pace.
Can I look around for mushrooms on the way?
You can, if you want to investigate for mushrooms, roll investigations yet.
I see absolutely jack shit.
I don't know what you see because you haven't told me what you rolled.
I got a 4.
You got a 4? You look around, I mean, as you're walking through, you're sort of glancing left and right. You're not really looking, you're just sort of looking, sort of inadvertently sort of looking, oh, does that look like a mushroom or nah? So you don't really see anything that looks like a mushroom that stands out to you right now. But you can make the checks every now and again if you want to continue to look along your journey.
As we travel, Head pulls his loot out, and as we're walking the trail, he starts to play, "Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. We got everything you need in the jungle where we stay." And he just sort of continues like that as they stroll.
I would say, take DM's inspiration for that one, dude. That was kind of well done. So yeah, as you sort of head into the jungle, I better turn off my water because you're not in the water anymore. Where is my forest?
I don't know, but all I can hear is rain.
Yes, we've got rain in our house at the moment, so if you hear rain over the microphone, it's not actually in-game. It's not the sounds that I have intended. So you walk into the first sort of part up this path, and it takes you on a steady incline up through sort of left and right, and the twists and turns, heading towards the top of the cliff line. It's going to take you probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get to the top of the actual cliff, into the ridge line and to the first part of the sort of tree line there. So there's not a lot of cover leading up this path to begin with, so it is quite warm still. Mid to late afternoon. By the time you reach the top of this cliff, heading into the tree line, you're going to be heading into early evening, probably 5:30, 6 o'clock. The sun will probably just starting to make its descent in the sky, so the skies have probably just started to turn into the sort of yellowy orange color. So you know you've maybe got an hour or two, maybe 3 at the outside before it gets to become pitch black.
Head, how far away
Yes.
from your place are we?
Well, we would be exactly, DM.
You would be approximately 2 days walk from Arnis.
We've got about 2 days walk
So do we want to like
from where we are.
make camp because it's starting to get dark?
Yes, that's probably. I mean, you don't want to walk for 2 days solid. That's
Wouldn't be anything I haven't done before.
Well,
Well,
if you want to walk 2 days straight, we can walk 2 days straight. I've got no issue with that. But there's other individuals that might want to rest.
Oh no, absolutely not. No, I wouldn't want to. No, 2 days walk is a long time to take no rest. We would be terribly exhausted and fatigued, and I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. Plus, if we were to get jumped by there's local headhunters and stuff here. They would. He is joking, but they don't know this. If we were jumped by the local headhunters and maybe the super band of werewolves that hang out in the twilight jungle, then we would not want to be without resting.
I whip out my sword
Axe.
and hold it at the ready.
You whip out your sax.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay, Namaris. There's a special whistle you do, and it keeps them at bay.
What's that then?
Can you whistle? That's it. That's exactly what you have to do. Every 5 seconds to keep them at bay during your watch at night.
Right, well, I'm just gonna wander along going,
Het has no forming lips, so he is unable to whistle.
So I'm gonna look at Het and go, "You are a lying sack."
Sadiq, roll an insight check just to see if you actually know, truly believe that he's lying or not.
That would be a 20.
That'd be a 20. Yeah.
Het just grins and winks at
Yeah.
Sadiq.
Yeah, you can see it across his face. He is telling the biggest fat lies that he's told so far.
But I'm gonna let it slide. I'm not gonna tell Namaris. I'm just gonna say it's like pulling my side. It's like, you are a lying sack.
No, Namaris. It has to be deeper. It's a little too high pitch. Otherwise, they come running to that one.
Oh my god.
Oh shit.
I think it worked. I think we're safe for this next few hours.
So
"Are you
as
sure?"
they
'Cause
march,
I don't mind.
yeah, so okay, as this exchange goes on, are you continuing to walk while you're doing this, or are you standing still? What are you guys doing?
Continue walking. We haven't actually stopped.
Okay, so as you continue walking, so you've sort of made the decision you're definitely going to make camp at some stage. You could probably walk for another couple of hours before you'd need to make camp, before you'd lose the light in order to set your camp up.
Well, since this is Het's neck of the woods, do you know of a good camping spot nearby?
Roll a history check.
Het remembers the top of a hill crest clearing or something.
Yeah, roll
maybe.
a history check for me, just quickly.
Het says that anyway. He rolled a 5.
Roll a 5. You're probably not far wrong. There is a small hill. It's not really a ridge top, but it's a small clearing on an elevated portion. A few trees around, but there's a small lake there as well, which has you sort of remember has fresh drinking water, and is generally
He
probably
barely
the best
remembers
place.
anything but says no, yes, like confident as.
I mean, you remember it, but you're not 100% sure where it is, but you know it's somewhere in this general area.
So to answer your question, it's somewhere in this general area is a good resting spot within the next hours.
Right, I now turn around, look at Het, and realise that he's not whistling very. Or
Het
at
can't
all.
whistle because of his
He
no
told you he
forming
couldn't
lips.
whistle.
And I'm like, but
No, he told you he couldn't whistle because he doesn't have lips.
well, that's right. But I'm looking at him thinking, hang on. How come he's telling us to whistle if he can't?
Is that what you say to him?
Yeah.
Well, then say it to him. Don't say it to me.
So Het,
Yes, ma'am.
you've just come to realise that you've told me that you can't actually whistle. So
That is correct.
who
Not unless
does
my
the-
nose is partially blocked.
So who does the whistling for you?
Oh, that's why I have a lute with many strings. I can play high chords which are similar.
Oh, I believe him.
Roll an insight check.
Natural 20.
Holy shit. Do you believe him, even on a natural 20? I would say that. Actually, roll a persuasion check.
Seven.
Yeah, he seems on the level, but you're not convinced. No,
Do I
Maris.
notice a twinkle in the eye?
Yeah, you know Hit's a bit of a prankster, so you're certain he's possibly telling the truth, but at the same time you're pretty sure he's pulling your leg.
I just chuckle to myself. And I look at him, and I'm like, you had me going for a whole I don't know how many hours there, you bastard! Slap him
If
on the
only they
back.
had worked on the boat while Chandra's doing the dishes.
Right, so as you do this, you it takes you about an hour, but you do find the small clearing on a small elevated area, which has a small lake. It's not a huge. It's not like you could literally probably throw a stone across the lake. It's more like a giant puddle than a lake, but it's fresh water. It's deep enough that you can wade up to probably waist height, maybe just below chest height for some of the shorter folks. So it's fresh, clean water. It has a small sort of waterfall leading into it, and you get the impression it's probably an underground spring, and it probably the runoff runs down into the ocean through a series of small creeks.
Did I hear you say that I could throw a changeling across the water?
You could possibly, well, depends on how strong you are.
Yeah, look at Ali.
But you decide to set up your camp there for the evening. It'll take you about an hour to set up your tents and gather enough wood and that to set a fire. Who is helming the setting of and the lighting of the fire?
Well, someone can set it up. I can light it.
I don't mind setting it up.
Whoever's lighting it, roll survival check for me to see how long it takes you to light it.
I don't need to.
Actually, don't, do you? No, you don't. With your little ability.
Exactly.
Poof! The fire is lit. Alessandra kindly supplies you guys with a very sizable working fire very quickly. And you all sit down.
That is a tricky little spell, Ellie.
You all take a seat and prepare for the evening.
I'm looking for mushrooms.
You're going to search for some mushrooms. You don't have dark vision, do you?
Mm-mm.
So roll an investigation with disadvantage if you're going to travel more than 20 feet from the fire.
Fuck. 2.
No, you don't find any mushrooms. You do step
Damn
in
it.
some animal dung of some description, though. And it's fresh and it's smelly.
Would I know what kind of animal dung it was?
Roll a nature check.
Nope. 3.
Nope, you have no idea. It's poo and it stinks.
There you go, and wipe my feet on the grass next to the go and wash my foot in the
You're going to wash your foot in the lake where you're going to all drink from.
at the end that it's channeling out.
Okay, you do that. Right, what is everyone doing? You have an established fireplace, you got tents up. It is still early evening. You still have time before you need to actually sleep. What are we doing?
I'm gonna go see if I can hunt some food. Like set up a little trap to catch a rabbit or something.
You want to set up a snare?
Yeah.
How many snares would you like to set up?
Let's say 6.
6 snares. Roll a survival check for me, for just to see whether the snares are how good they're gonna be.
Hit will follow Sadiq and see what he's up to as well. He thinks it's quite interesting.
That would be a 15.
15? 15, yeah, 15. It will take you a little while, but 6. You'll be able to set 6 snares up around the perimeter of the camp, and you made them before. They seem functional. You'd have to check them maybe in an hour or so to see whether you may have caught something. So we'll do a roll for that. I'll do a roll for that soon. So you take the next hour to sort of wander around the outskirts of the camp, sort of just outside of the firelight, to set the 6 snares. I don't think they've actually raided yet. No, he hasn't shown up. But yeah, so you do that. What else? Hip, what were you doing? Sorry.
Following
Just
me
following around with the setting of the snares.
Are you wanting to sort of watch what he does and learn, or did you just hanging out?
No, just curious, just hanging out, because he's the only other dude in the group.
That is correct.
So yeah, I show Sadiq. I show Head like how to kind of set it up, and give him some tips and tricks.
Hit watches enthusiastically. How large are these traps that he's setting?
They'd be big enough for small game. So rabbits, possums, rats, any kind of small animal would be snared by them.
Sadiq, does this work for people also?
You'd have to use a bigger sapling, but yeah, you could use it on a person.
It's good to know.
The rope, the way you'd lay it out as well, would be a little bit different because a human weighs more, so you need a stronger rope. But yeah, similar idea.
Excellent. Well, I mean, by people, I didn't just mean humans. I mean humanoid, two-legged creatures. But yes, it's good to see because, something like that could come in handy in the future.
So Sadiq, you were roll a what should I say? Let's roll a survival check with advantage for me, please.
That'd be 22.
So yeah, so you would, with your time with the guild and with the with your blood hunter, I can't remember what it's called now. The blood hunter with your orc clan, half orc clan, and with the blood hunters, and with the time with the guild, you would have spent time hunting humanoids. So you've probably set human-sized snares as well. So yeah, you definitely know that it's possible, and you've got a fairly good idea on how to do it. Whether you relay that information to Het is completely up to you. But you would definitely have an understanding of the mechanics of a snare, and your size is just relative to the prey.
Yeah, I explain like the whole logistics. Depending on how big it is, depends on like, do you have to counterweight it? Add rocks and stuff, and the bigger the game, the more you need to add to the trap to try to make it, catch and be caught by said trap.
Yeah.
Het would like to have a go if Sadiq would let him.
I'll step back and let you set the last trap if you like.
Okay.
That would be excellent.
So roll a survival check. I was going to say with disadvantage, but no, make it a straight roll. And yeah.
16.
You said it. It's a pretty good trap. You look at it, and it looks very similar to what Sadiq had previously set. Sadiq, you look it over, and you're impressed. It's actually very well set. It's definitely functional.
Excellent.
I guess I had a good trainer. I shall try to keep learning this off you as long as I can.
So you guys... Yep, so you guys set your traps.
Survival tactics are very handy. Sometimes it's easier to live off the land than carry it around with.
That is good advice.
So that's you set your traps are set. You head back to camp, and you take a seat. We'll come back to those traps in a little bit. Alessandros, Neymaris, are you guys up to anything? During this time, Fiala has hung around the campfire, tended the campfire, kept it going. She has boiled some water, and probably chucked on maybe some
Coffee.
pot of beans, coffee, things like that. So ready for an evening's meal. So until she actually arrives, we're going to sort of minimise her input here. But she's there at the camp, sort of doing camp mother stuff. So as you guys sort of mill around the camp, Neymaris, Alessandros, are you guys wanting to do anything, talk about anything?
Oh, you're just gonna have a look at Ali and say, "How are you feeling now that we're on land, Chuck?"
Land. I love the land.
Definitely got your colour back. I miss it. And your shape. You lost yourself for a little bit there.
And I changed my skin color to green.
That's exactly what you're looking like on the ship. What other colours can you do?
Black.
Yeah, so she practically disappears She's sort of standing in a bit of a shadow and she turns her skin color black, and because she's wearing pretty much all dark colors, she just about disappears.
Shame we can't learn that, because that's pretty good for survival skill.
So, anything else?
Back to my normal colour now.
Anything else you guys want to discuss?
No, I'm good.
We're good. So, over the next sort of hour, you guys sit around the campfire. You discuss your time on the ship. You, Alessandros, you go through and sort of explain that you learnt these cool new knots, and if we ever need to tie anybody up, they're not going to get out of this sort of shit. And will come in handy for possibly making rope ladders and things like that. So we've got that to fall back on. Sadiq relays his time with the cannoneer and learning a little bit about explosives and gunpowder, and that he may want to sort of look into that a little bit more when you get back to Valond, maybe. And Namaris spent some time navigating, so she's learning sort of what directions, navigation by stars and things like that. So she may be more be able to help with directions in the future. It may give, like, you guys will get some advantages and disadvantages based on these skills as we go along. But the evening draws in. We will now do the Sadiq, if you wanting to wander out and check your traps.
Yep.
For the first check for the evening, trap 1 has not tripped. It is empty. Trap 2, however, has a reasonable good sized rabbit. The rabbit is dead. The snare got it around the throat. Looks like it died pretty quickly. Trap 3, same thing, small rabbit. This one's not dead, still alive. Got caught by its hind leg, but it is definitely dead. Break its neck, not a problem.
Yep.
Trap 4, sorry, is empty. Trap 5 has been completely smashed to pieces, but the trap did go off and has trapped a large badger. The trap itself has been destroyed, but the snare is held, and this badger is still alive too, and he's not happy. So I'll get you to roll a d20 for me and tell me what you get.
5.
As you go to grab this badger, or like you go to sort of kill it with your dagger or break its neck, whatever, just as you reach down to grab it, it turns and bites you and does 2 points of piercing damage and breaks free of the snare and runs into the bushes. The last trap is empty. So you have a rabbit, 2 small rabbits from your snares.
Right, take them back and start skinning them and making a stew, I guess.
No problem. So Sadiq returns back to the camp. He's got two rabbits with him. He does the gutting and the skinning. What do you want to do with the skins?
Try to keep them.
Want to
if
pin
I
them
can.
out?
Yeah.
So I'd say you'd have enough of a skill to make up a frame of twigs and sort of stretch them out over a frame and maybe hang them in a tree for the night.
Alright, we'll do that then. I'll blame Het for catching a badger.
So
It would have probably followed him to check the
well,
traps.
yeah, you would have too,
probably
yes.
got the blame then.
I'd say you probably would have, just to see if your trap was the one that caught anything, and I'd say your trap was the one that caught the badger.
That would make sense. Sorry, Sadiq, I apologize for my not quite perfect trap making, but good to see it partially worked. I'll work on that in the future.
No, it worked. It just worked a little bit too well. You don't want to catch badgers. You want to catch rabbits, not badgers.
So just to interject here, just quickly, chat, give us about 5 or 10 minutes, and we're going to be answering questions with the chat. We're going to take a break in about 5-10 minutes time. So just bear with us, and I'll be able to answer a few more questions about what we do and sort of where the story's at. Because I know we've got a bunch of new people in the chat right now, so we'll just bear with us, guys, while we're in the middle of the story. So yes, Sadiq comes back to the camp, and with Het obviously in tow. Het gets blamed for the badger, although it was a good trap. It didn't really want to catch a badger. They're pretty ferocious little things. So you prepare the rabbits, you skin them, and let's say, can you roll survival check for me with advantage? Because I dare say you probably skinned a few rabbits in your time.
Currently, because I got a 20.
20. So yeah, you've had no problems. You've definitely lived out in the bush, and you've trapped rabbits and birds, and you've got a fairly good understanding of anatomy, and you quite easily skin the rabbits, you gut them out, you prepare them, you cut them up into good sized portions, or actually, how you want to make a stew, or you want to roast them over the open flame?
Stew them up.
Stew them up. So you cut them into good, you sort of bone it out the best you can, or you chuck them in a few bones as well, the bigger bones, into the pot. You probably, I would say, have a few vegetables, maybe, or you want to make a bit of a broth, so you into the pot, make a bit of a stew. Het, however, I would say asks for a portion uncooked.
Yeah, I keep
him. Have to do exactly that.
I keep like a hind quarter of one of the bigger rabbits and give it to him.
Okay, that's cool. So Het, you get your raw rabbit meat. The rest of the group, after about 45 minutes to an hour, the smell of this rabbit stew is wafting through the campsite, and it smells pretty damn good.
Right.
Namaris, what were you wanting to do?
Torch, and I am going to go and look for some bloody mushrooms, because it smells too good not to have mushrooms with.
So you go for a walk. If you look with a torch.
Would I have seen any mushrooms like on trees while I was setting the traps?
Roll a quick investigation.
That would be a 13.
13? I would say you probably would have seen a few mushrooms around. You probably would have seen a few toadstools as well.
Yes, I point Namaris to the general area that I saw mushrooms in.
Okay.
Go and find them.
So you have to roll an investigation check now with your torch. Just a straight roll.
Yep. 15.
Pardon, I can't hear you.
I rolled a
Said 15.
15? 15 there, you find some mushrooms, you find some toadstools as well. I mean, you're not sure what a toadstool is, but it looks like a mushroom.
Right, do I try and... Well, I guess I've not seen it before, so I look at it and think, do I know what this is?
Well, no, because I just said you'd never seen a toadstool before. But
Alright,
it looks like a red mushroom with white dots.
Okay, well, I will try and I'll give it a little...
You gonna taste it?
Yep.
Roll a Constitution saving throw for me.
I got a 10.
10? It has a really bitter, nasty taste to it. You don't get sick, but it does not taste very nice at all.
Right, well, I'm going to throw those ones away.
But the mushrooms that you've seen before and eaten before, you find a half dozen, I'd say, in that time. Quite good size ones.
Alright, well, that's fine. Can I throw these in the stew? I'm looking at today.
Have you head back to camp? Have you? You only
Oh
just
yeah,
picked up the mushrooms.
Yeah, go for it.
I head back to camp and I look at Sadiq and say, "Look, I found some mushrooms. Can I throw them in?"
I'm gonna make sure that none of them are poisonous, and then say, yeah, go for it.
Yep. So you can add those to the. Ask me to save that shit. Save it. You can add it without too many hassles.
Right. Done.
He reaches his hand out and just says, "Hold on a minute. They could be the great, deadly mushrooms of the Hatungu jungle. We must be careful."
What's this for, Trash?
Interesting.
Have you tested them?
Yes, she's tested the mushrooms.
One
Damn
of
it.
them.
I'm gonna do an inside check on Het's so-called mushroom knowledge.
Yeah, go for it.
23.
Heads is full of crap.
There you go then.
So I kind of look at it and go,
So, do you add your mushrooms to the stew? And what if you did? Is everyone everyone allowing you to add the mushrooms to the stew, or are you just going to add it to your own stew?
Well, I'm gonna ask if everybody minds if I add it to the whole big stew, because it might just give it a little bit more.
no, I don't mind.
Okay, so no one objects. You add mushrooms to the stew.
And I
You leave
offer
it-
Het a couple of raw ones, because I know he likes his stuff raw. And I wink.
No, it's... Head declines. He says, no, thank you. I don't do fungus.
You'll never see in the dark if you don't eat your vegetables, you know.
He's not a very fun guy.
Oh wow! Right, so back to the stew. So the stew is left another 10, maybe 15 minutes to cook through the mushrooms. Those that wish to take a bowlful of stew. Sadiq, Namaris, Fiala, Alshondros will take the stew. Hit munches down on his raw rabbit and anything else. You guys, that'll sustain you for the next 24 hours without too many hassles. You sit around the campfire, you eat your meal, and discuss who's going to take the first watch for the evening.
I don't mind taking first watch.
So
I'll take second.
Yeah, so there'll be so for everyone to get 8 hours is going to have to be 4 watches, so 4 2-hour watches.
Head will take a watch then.
And we'll
And Fiala only needs 4.
that's right. Fiala needs 4 hours, so Fiala could probably take last watch then. So
Yeah, I get to sleep.
so Alice trying to get to sleep this evening. So before we head off to the watch, what we'll do is we'll we'll take our break here, so we can answer a few questions in chat. Everyone can get a drink, and hopefully by the time our break is over, hopefully Yanti's back maybe.
Yeah, no, she sent me a text about 20 minutes ago saying she's still not in there yet, so
Oh, really?
she's going to probably be really...
Okay, well, that's right. If we can keep it with the group, it's not a problem. No, it's no dramas. We'll be able to deal with it. So, chat, welcome to the stream. Pontus Sigurd, thank you for the raid. Appreciate it, Bob, my friend, and the follow. And anyone else that's followed me as well. Thank you so much for the follow. I haven't been able to see you because we don't have any alerts running on the D&D nights, just for roleplay reasons. So, for those in the chat that don't know what Dungeons and Dragons is or have never played it, Dungeons and Dragons is a role-playing game which is normally played on tabletop with Dungeon Master, which is the role that I'm playing, which basically you have a story. We have the players, which they have class races. So you might have a fighter, a barbarian, there might be an elf, there might be an orc. And essentially we roleplay the characters and roleplay situations, and we tell a story. So at the moment we're episode 16 into my story. So there's the rest of the story is available on my YouTube. The links are in my description on my channel. So go check out the YouTube if you want to catch up with the story, if you want to continue to come back and hang out with us. We do this every 2 weeks, every second Sunday, which is New Zealand Standard Time. So check out timeconverter.com for those times. It's normally about 2-3 a.m. Eastern. How long average each game? We run for about 3 hours each episode, and a whole game can run anywhere from 12 months to 3 years. Depending on how often you play. We play twice a month, so this particular game could potentially run...
Just AFK for 5 seconds.
Yeah, go for it, mate. This game could potentially run 3 to 4 years. Yes, please. Just a cup of tea, thanks. So first question, what is rearing for chat? Huh? Rating for chat, we're 18 plus. Always 18 plus. I can't do not 18 plus. So most language is acceptable. We don't really time out too much in the channel. Normally you'll get, if anything is out of sort of context or out of the sort of rule set, we'll get a warning and then you'll get a timeout, then you'll get a ban. So we're usually pretty tolerant. I don't do anything under 18 plus. Hey, that's awesome. I swear a lot normally too. And it'll come out. Just with role playing, it's a little bit different because we're playing other characters. So you're Irish. Hey, my name's Sean. It's spelt the Irish way. I'm of Irish descent. I fully understand. So, but it's good to see you guys pop in and have a look and hang out. And obviously, if you have never played D&D before and you're not understanding what it is, now's the time to ask some questions about the game or about us as players. Like Nutty said before, myself and Nutty Tart were from New Zealand. Het is also New Zealand. From New Zealand, Sadiq, Alessandros, and the other character who's not here at the moment are all from Australia. So we're a mix of New Zealand and Australian players. We do have a lot of Americans and people from the UK coming in at this time slot that are still awake at this hour. You made a mistake with that Irish descent. Hey, I'm Irish Italian, man. Can't go wrong. So, and yeah, she's a Yankee Aussie. I'm not claiming Irish roots, no. Just Irish descent. But, so, essentially what the story has started as, give you an idea, this map here is the realm of Paradym, which is a realm that I've created. Our adventurers have joined the Eldritch City of Valond Adventurers Guild. How many players in one game? Anything. You can run 2 players up to 12, 13 players if you want to run that many players. A good base for players is sort of 4 to 6 to keep the story going and making combat not so drawn out and long. Because if you get into a combat situation and you've got more than 4 or 5 players, it can draw it out a little bit and can be quite time consuming to get into a combat situation. I play multiple characters as a DM. So you have PCs, which are player characters, which these guys play. Then we have our NPCs, which are non-player characters, which the DM generally plays if they have a speaking role. Hence, I don't know if you got here before, we had a captain of a ship that dropped these guys off. I played the part of the captain, I played the part of the cook, I played the part of the first mate, all that sort of thing. So essentially I play everybody. So yeah, the GM, I mean, I can play every character with my own voice, or I can do accents, or I can change, like if I'm playing the character, voicing the character of a woman, obviously I need to try and make myself sound like a girl. Yeah. If you're brand new and have never played, how would you start? What would you need a GM? You can. There are card games. If you've never played Dungeons & Dragons and you want to get a start in D&D, there is a Dungeons & Dragons card game which you can play with 2 people, which will give you an introduction into D&D. If you want to start tabletop D&D, you do need a GM, and you need at least 1 player. So, my suggestion to anyone wanting to get into Dungeons & Dragons, if you have access to the internet, go to dndbeyond.com and have a look at that. That will give you everything, all the information you need as a new player and a new GM. This is the first time I've DM'd a game. So, I mean, well, technically the first full game I've DM'd. I've done a couple of one-shots and things like that. So at the end of the day, if you have a reasonable imagination and you want to create something of your own, then you can do it that way. Or if you go to D&D Beyond, or if you go to anywhere that sells the D&D books, you get a basic rule book and a DM's guide, and then you've got a whole bunch of adventure books which will give you adventures to play from like levels 1 to 9. So you can literally take the book and run the book as a new GM, and it gives you all the information you need for that to run a basic campaign. Stop that music and stuff there for a second. There is a lot to it, but it seems very daunting when you look at it. But when it comes to dice, that little doofer there is the main dice you'll need, is a D20. That's just about everything is done on a D20. For ability checks and things like that. Then you've got the other dice for damage and shit like that, but it's said the character sheets are easy to follow. Making a character is probably pretty easy. Again, using D&D Beyond makes everything step by step, and you can grow. And it doesn't matter if you make mistakes. You start a campaign and you play the campaign the way you want to play it. The rules aren't set in stone. So there are certain rules that we don't play that are in the rulebook. We choose not to play that particular rule because it doesn't fit with my particular game style, or it doesn't fit with my world, or anything like that. My whole world is completely homebrew, so I've created the realm, I've created the story. Hey Pontus, that's the way to do it, man. Get a bunch of friends together and just give it a go. Even if you just play a one-shot to begin with and just play a simple story, to give you guys an idea of what it is. Hey, if you're a gamer, you're a nerd. Doesn't matter. Just because you're not playing D&D doesn't make you not a nerd. We're all nerds up in here. Right, are we all back?
Het is back.
Het is back.
Nick Marsh has been here for a little while.
I don't know about being here, but she's back.
I don't know what I did with the chat then, but I just paused, Joy. I lost the chat!
Oh no. Let's wait for Sadiq to get back and we'll get started again. But yeah, so I say D&D Beyond's probably your best bet for information. It gives you as much information as you need. Have a Google search D&D. Come and watch guys like us play D&D if you want to get an interest in it and want to ask some questions and get some advice. Shows like Critical Role. You've got Geek and Sundry Twitch site. They do not just D&D, they do a bunch of tabletop games. Button, thanks for the follow, appreciate it very much. I watch a lot of Critical Role. I'm a big Critical Role fan. I've watched the entire first campaign and now currently into campaign 2, which has got me back into D&D. Het and myself have been playing D&D for a long time. So I followed for that reason. Awesome. Hey, the more viewers we get that ask dumb questions, the better in my books. So yeah, so I'd say we do this every 2 weeks, same night, same time. Start at 7:30 our time, which I believe is around 2:30, 3:30 Eastern AM. So that'll be a Sunday morning for you guys. He just met us. Don't want to scare him off. You don't. That's the whole thing. We don't scare easily up in here. I'm likely to scare you off, so.
Oh yeah.
You ain't seen nothing yet. So Sadiqa's back.
Well, I'm back.
Yep.
Did I hear that Fiala is
She's still not
back?
there. Yeah, so she might not be.
Oh,
She
okay.
might not make it back. That's fine.
Well,
Yeah.
That's
I'm
alright.
just-
We've still
I'll-
got
we'll
I'll
another.
protect
protect her.
I'll send her a text, see how far she's
Yeah.
off.
We've got about an hour left to go. So.
Let's get her killed.
You know,
Let's
she's already
not
got
let-
another character set up for it.
Oh really?
Let's
Oh,
not
crack up.
get anybody killed tonight. Woohoo!
Death
She's
is
on the
always
She's
way.
on the
Cards.
way! Yay! she just messaged in the chat. I'm on the way. Walking and listening. Sweet.
We all need
I
to
didn't
face
say
palm
get her
emote.
killed. That wasn't me.
Yeah, he did.
The facepalm
Well,
emote? That's awesome.
That would be a 25 to an insight check.
So at the moment we're still waiting on our new emote to be approved, which is a D20, natural 20 at that.
Nice.
Since we hit the 25 sub goal, we got a new emote, so that's just pending at the moment. Polymorph the Dragonborn. Yeah, you might get polymorphed there, Hit. You might get turned into a dragonfly or something.
It doesn't mind.
Yanti's all set up, so when she does get back, she'll be able to get in straight away.
Awesome. Sweet. So we'll pick back up. The crew is. So chat, we're going to get back into roleplay now. So thank you very much for hanging out. Thanks for the follows. Thanks for the raid. Appreciate it. Now back to the story. So now not Forest Day. It'll be not Forest nighttime. So we are having our evening meal. Rabbit stew with fresh mushrooms. Hit with his raw rabbit. Is there anything you would like to do while eating and after eating before you turn in and we get our first watch underway?
I'd like to ask the group, what do they know about this prophecy?
Bad
What-
stuff's meant to be happening.
Speak up, Trash. You're too quiet.
Bad stuff's meant to be happening.
Can you elaborate?
Heat has the scroll that he found still, I believe.
He does.
And he has...
Did he write the prophecy down?
He did indeed write the prophecy down. But he will minimize it because it's a little long. But basically the prophecy starts with the first wave of fiends and undead being released on the land. And then it works forth into more underdark beings. And then somewhere around the center there shall be a mighty beholder. And then something about a Balor, which does not sound good. Which leads into the pantheon of the Nine Hells. And there's a lot of bad stuff that sort of rolls along the interior of that. The idea, I guess, is that this prophecy is underway, and I think something that you're dealing with, Sadiq, is part of this prophecy, the undead part at least.
So it's the beginning.
Yes, the
Of the
beginning
end.
of the end, for lack of a...
I just scratch an area on my back that's a bit of a different colour than everything.
Yeah, so for all intents and purposes, what Hit has relayed to you is just that while on a quest for the guild, they stumbled across they were given a quest to dispatch a young dragon, and in the keep where that young dragon had made its home, they came across a kobold ritual with a kobold sorcerer, and that part of the prophecy had been basically started with the first part of the prophecy being read out and the sacrifice being made, basically starting the prophecy. Sadiq, roll a history check for me. No, not history. Yeah, history check. With advantage, because you've probably done some readings with your Blunt Hunter group.
That would be 14?
14? So what you remember of the things that you've read about this particular prophecy is... I'm going to bring up some info here. I've got to remember this stuff myself. I did write it down. Info. The prophecy itself is about Asmodeus the Cruel, and it's a prophecy that has been attempted before. This is not the first time this prophecy has been attempted to come about. And essentially what is done is the balance between good and evil is shifted. Once the prophecy is begun, as Pet has just explained, the shift or the veil between the living and the dead shifts slightly, so therefore the undead are able to return more easily. Vampires become more active. You see more zombies, you see more skeletal warriors, you see more of these undead entities making a mark within the realms. From there, again, the veil between the abyssal plane and the material plane grows thin, and fiends and things like that start to be able to break through at certain points where they shouldn't be able to normally unless they're a greater demon. More lesser demons are able to break through to the material plane, and so on and so forth. As the prophecy builds momentum and other things are done, those veils become thinner again. And essentially, at the climax of the prophecy, Asmodeus the Cruel is able to open a rift between the material plane and the 9 hells and keep it open, which basically means the end of days for the material plane. Then any manner of demon, fiend, fae, all those creatures of evil, pure evil nature are able to wreak havoc across the plains. And what you remember mostly is the dragon that normally heads that final push into the material plane. There's always an ancient dragon at the head of that battle. Asmodeus himself does not come through until the portal is completely opened and maintained, but he sends through things like Balors and fire giants and greater demons to ensure that happens. So the final push is normally always at the city of Evldoa. This is why the city of Evldoa is the most fortified city in the realm. It's why it's the capital. It is why it was where they held the dragons and used dragons as their main army back in the days before the Dragon Wars. And it was because of this prophecy that all dragons were put to death and then subsequently hunted to extinction. And it's why now today that a lot of Adventurer Guild trainees are sent out to, as part of their trial, to find and exterminate young dragons.
Cool.
So yeah, bad shit happening.
Yes.
And one other name stands out to you as well. You just happened to, it just sort of clicked in your head. Name Cass Agnund, which is the fiend that you are searching for, is also definitely tangled up within this prophecy. Also known Cass the Bloody.
Nice. Okay. Alright. So on that note, I'm gonna go, have my stew, read some books, get some sleep, and tell whoever's doing the first watch to get me up when their watch is ended.
Okay, so who was taking first watch?
That would be me.
So everyone else turns in for the evening. You retire to your respective tents. The fire is maintained, and no Morris. You sit up to take your first watch. What's up, Kak? How you doing? You sort of wander around the camp a little bit, making sure everything's all sort of thing. Your 2 hours. You roll your perception check for me, please.
Perception, I get a 19.
You get a 19. Throughout the course of your 2 hours, you sort of sit there. You're a little bit restless. You found yourself some mushrooms, so you're pretty happy with yourself. you do notice sounds of animals through the night. Sorry about the rain sound, guys. This rain is getting really heavy. So you hear the sounds of animals, wolves, bears, all the things you'd expect to hear. You do hear the occasional howl.
Can I hear that waterfall in the
distance.
background somewhere in the distance?
Yes, there is a large waterfall that you can hear off in the distance. Seems to be getting louder though. But this time of night, it just seems awfully loud. But your watch generally goes without incident. So that your first hour is pretty good. Second hour, something just playing on your mind. You're not sure what it is. And again, your mind wanders back to the name Ashana Koratash and that warrior spirit that has visited you before in your dreams. And the moment you're almost like you speak the name in your head and you feel your heart rate jump and your pulse race. You become warm and flush, and that rage builds up inside you for some reason. You're not sure why. And just roll a quick wisdom save for me, please.
15.
15.
I got 15.
After what seems like 10 or 15 seconds, everything sort of subsides. Your breathing comes back to normal, but you look down and your both fists are clenched so tight that your fingernails have pierced both of your palms and you've got blood running down your hands. You didn't even notice. You didn't feel the pain, but you were obviously that tense and the rage had built that quickly that you'd literally skewered yourself in your own hands. And you sort of look down and you see the blood and you kind of lost it at what has just happened. You're really confused. The next hour goes without incident. You wrap your wounds. You take no damage, so you just wrap your wounds to cover them. And you wake. Who was taking second watch? Was that Sadiq? You in turn wake Sadiq for his watch.
I go over and poke his tusks.
You poke his tusks. Holy shit.
Oh, are you awake?
So you would have to literally crawl into his tent.
Mm-hmm.
Virtually crawling
my head towards the door.
I was going to say, because if you were sleeping to your head the other end, she'd have to crawl over top of you, like almost on you, to poke you in the tusk.
Wait,
And
you
you'd wake up with a face full of boobs.
Okay. What is it with you and my tusks?
I think they're really cool.
All orcs have them. They're not really that special.
The only time I've been up close and personal with an orc is when I've been killing it, so just...
Fair comment.
You've seen half orcs before.
I know, but shh, he doesn't know that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So you wake Sadiq. Sadiq, you come from your tent, you take your position in the, on watch, stoke the fire. This could be, Pontus, could be.
And make myself a coffee.
Yeah, Namaris,
Sit back in.
you head to your tent and take your sleep. Sadiq, roll perception check for your first hour, please.
I'm going to go with my passive. That would be 15.
15. You're a little bit put off by the whole tusk touching thing. It's odd, but it's kind of endearing at the same time. You don't know why, but I mean, she's not creepy, but it's weird. Definitely, it's definitely strange to have someone wanting to touch your tusks. That's just creepy, weird itself, but it's not creepy weird. It's something you're just not sure why, but it's kind of endearing at the same time that she's making an effort to try and form some kind of bond with you. Through that course of that first hour, again, the wind through the trees, the occasional birds you hear in the background, and that general sounds of a jungle / forest of an evening. you sort of mull over what you discussed with Het and the group about the prophecy. You understand enough that you know the prophecy is probably still in its early stages, hence the rise of undead activity. You also know that this vampire that you seek, Kasag Nund, is definitely he is a powerful vampire. He has been around for a long time. He was probably around during the last time this prophecy had tried to been fulfilled. So you know you are facing a foe that is probably far stronger than yourself. Your Blood Hunter Order, while they have given you all the advice and all the equipment you need, you know you're going to need this group's help if you are to exact the revenge that you're after. I think you're now, by this stage, really starting to realise that these guys have some skills. Quirky, weird, but they're definitely good people. Perception check for your second hour, please.
Hey, that one would be a 25.
25.
First natural 20 for the day.
Nice. So you're sitting back there and you're alert. You hear everything. You hear a woodland creature walking behind you. It sounds like you sort of listen for a minute and you think, yeah, that's definitely a wolf. Not interested in us, but it's definitely there. You hear an owl hooting in the distance. You hear the crickets. You hear everything, and it's quite exhilarating for you. You've not been this centered for a long time, and you sit there and just listen to the jungle noises and the animals and just the night in general, and you feel pretty good about the whole thing. Your 2 hours passes, again without major incident, and I believe you were waking Fiala for the final watch, or was it Het going to do a watch?
I think Het and
Het was doing the
Fiala
watch.
was doing the last.
Yes. So you wake
correct.
Het for third watch.
Yep, so I'm going to go shake Het and wake him up.
Het gets up without an issue. He's not sleeping as well as he'd like.
No problem.
No halfling to keep you warm, Het.
Oh, it's not about warmth. I just assumed she had a man in every port, really. But no, I don't. I like to meet other races. It helps me study them, see their makeup. I use it for my knowledge of medicine and how to kill more effectively.
Interesting.
That is actually a Het telling pretty much a part truth.
It's too early in the morning. I'm just going to go to bed.
So Siddiq retires to his tent, and Het, your watch starts. Perception check for your first hour, please.
It rolls 11.
11. First hour, not much happens. You sit there again, you just sort of contemplate the day's events. You now feel somewhat at home. You have been in this jungle before. You have been, you're not that far from home. So thoughts of your mother, your brothers, and your father come to you quite frequently at the moment because you are so close to home. Thoughts of your oldest brother Adrian obviously come to you with his passing and the reason you are heading home. You haven't seen him in some time. He's been off fighting, doing pretty much following in his father's footsteps, like pretty much you all have. And so it's been a while since you've seen him. So it's kind of disappointing to you that you didn't get to see him alive again. But you understand the warrior, like the life of a warrior or life of adventurer. You sort of get that because your father's lived it.
He refrains from pulling out his loot and playing Mama, I'm coming home. He gets it out and is, oh, I better not, they're all sleeping.
And with that, just that alone, your thoughts turn to your mother, and the fact you haven't seen her in the 3 months or so you've been away. You remember the letter she wrote, informing you of your brother's death, and the stains, which looked like tears to you on the page. So obviously she was upset. I mean, as you're upset that you've lost a member of your family. But then it all turns to nervousness all over again, because you know that you're going to have to talk to Dad at some point. You know that Iron is waiting. He may not know that you're coming. You don't know whether your mother's told him, but you're still apprehensive about sort of talking to him again because you haven't seen him in some time. So, perception check for your second, please.
That's a lot better. 18.
18. Second hour of your watch, you sort of your ears perk up. You hear a noise in the sort of just in the darkness, just outside the glow of the campfire, and you sort of peer into the darkness. You got dark vision? You don't, do you?
No, it does not.
You sort of try and peer into the darkness, but you can't quite make out what it is. But then you catch a scent. I mean, your sense of smell is pretty keen. So you catch a scent and you think, that smells like badger. Because you caught the scent of the badger you caught in your trap earlier that got away. And then you hear this rustling and sort of little growling, and you see this flash of fur sort of dart across the campfire and through the camp and out the other side. And sure enough, it was a large badger with a piece of snare string still caught to its hind leg. It just bolts it through the campfire and just about knocks over all the food. Yeah.
I hit it with a frostbite.
You're gonna hit it with a
Whereas I see it
frostbite?
running.
Okay.
It makes the Constitution save.
Actually, we'll see. Make a dex check first to see if you're quick enough to catch it as it bolts through. Just a straight dex check.
That is a 12.
That'll do it. So what was the save?
Constitution save.
Constitution. Rolled a natural 18. I don't think I even need to check the
Nope.
the badge. I'm pretty sure
Nope,
the badge is a
he's too
-2,
quick.
so even a 16, I think, still
too quick.
succeeds. So yeah, the badger just you sort of catch it out of the corner of your eye, and you go to throw the spell, and he's gone. You sort of hit the dirt right beside the fire.
I hit it with frostbite, so it iced up somewhere in the dirt there.
It's been sort of the whole area just iced over, and you almost hit the fire. You could just about put the fire out, but not quite. So with that was right towards the end of your watch. You sort of chuckle to yourself that it got the better of you, and you're thinking, that damn badger, I'm going to get you next time, kind of thing. And your watch comes to an end. So we're now getting to the wee small hours of the morning, and you decide to wake Fiala for her watch, because she only needs 4 hours sleep or 4 hours meditation. She's going to
I
take
head
the
over to
final
where
watch.
Fiala is meditating. I tap her on the shoulder. Fiala.
Oh, I had a vision. I was frantically running.
Oh. I hope you weren't frantically running. Anyway, you don't need to. Everything's good. Except there's a beaver running around here somewhere you might need to get your hands on.
You want me
It's
to
running.
put my hands on a beak?
Yeah, I saw it. We nearly caught it in a trap earlier, but it got free. And it's come running through the camp. Pretty sure it was the beaver. You like those sort of things, don't you?
What were you gonna do with it? Were you gonna eat it?
Well, no, I was actually gonna catch it and see if you wanted it. I know you like animals.
That I do. Speaking of, are you and Rissoles still a thing? Or
Riska.
Oh, you mean Riska?
Rissole.
I don't think so.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I couldn't help myself.
First thing that
Not
popped
me
in my
either. That is, yeah, no, I think that was just a boat thing. Yeah, it was just a quick fling, just so I could get some information.
And he likes his meat raw.
You're asleep. Shut up.
All right,
Who said that?
I'll take it from here.
Thanks, Fiona. I shall just bed down. But yes, keep your eyes out for that beaver.
Got it.
And he goes to his tent.
Het
Lies
retires
down.
to his tent. Fiala wakes up, or comes out of her meditation and takes her place on watch. Fiala, just a quick catch up. You guys have spent a couple of days on the boat. You spent the day after the attack on the boat sleeping and meditating, spending time trying to focus on Begilia and what you'd seen in the forest that night, and just mulling that over and sort of coming to terms with that. The team then were brought to shore. You've made basically a day's journey to this campsite. And apparently there's a beaver running through the camp.
Are there any mud puddles around? Like muddy?
Actually, there probably would be now with Het's ice spell probably now thawing out next to the fireplace. There's probably a bit of mud right next to the fire.
Since they're really good at perception, I would like to wild shape into a badger and get my feet all muddy and kind of walk all over Het. Leave some footprints.
You could do that. Fiala, no one else is around to see, so Fiala wild shapes into a badger and wanders through this patch of ice, which is now turned into a bit of a mud pat, where Het had fired his ice spell, and wanders into Het's tent where he's snoring away, walks around Het's body, so pulls up on the side of the tent right by his head,
Boop
over
on
his
the nose.
face, down his body. Het, roll a perception check with disadvantage because you're asleep. Just to see how much you actually feel of this.
That's an 8.
An 8. Ooh, yeah, you stir a little bit. You get a cold sensation across your face and down your neck, and then it sort of goes away, and you sort of roll over, and you sort of partially wake, but not quite, not enough to really notice what's going on. So Fiala, you work your way down his body and back out his tent, and back to the campfire, and then return back to your normal form. Or if you wish, you want to stay in the badger form, that's up to you.
I'll do normal.
So you revert to your normal form, chuckling to yourself as you take a seat next to the fire, stoke it up, make sure it keeps going throughout the watch, and roll your perception check for your first half of your watch.
I'm gonna take my passive of 15.
15. As you go through the first couple of hours, in the first place, you're still having a bit of a giggle over the whole walking all over Het thing and leaving footprints all through his tent, and just kind of you think it's just funny that he thought a badger was a beaver, but you kind of understood what he meant. You also hear an owl in the background. You recognise the sound of an owl. You've probably seen dozens of owls in different night times in the forest that you grew up in. It's comforting to have that owl sound off in the distance. You also hear snuffling and snarling, the occasional distant howl, which doesn't sound normal to you. It's definitely not a wolf. Not any type of wolf that you've heard before. It's definitely something different, but very, very distant, not too close. But it definitely, it's enough, it was loud enough to sort of raise some concern with you. Probably not enough to wake anybody, but you do take notice of it and sort of store that in your memory that you've heard this unusual sort of howling that sort of doesn't seem right in this sort of setting. apart from that, nothing much else happens throughout the night. And your perception check for your second half.
17.
17. You're sitting there sort of staring into the flame of the fire, and Fiona, you heard this heavy sigh, this heavy breath. You turn and you see that white stag again, just in the tree line. It's looking in your direction and then sort of bows its head and steps back and is gone. Are you gonna follow, or are you gonna stay where you are?
Yeah, I'm gonna follow.
So you get up, you move towards the direction where the stag was in the tree line there, and you sort of push through the tree line, and you can't see it. You can't see it at all. It appears to have just vanished. You don't get the sense that it was trying to get you to follow him. It was almost like, hey, I'm here. It was more of a comfort thing, more than I'm wanting to talk to you again sort of thing. It's just sort of letting you know that he's there. So you sort of look around for a bit and you can't see any sign of the stag anywhere. And you look down and no footprints either. So you return back to the campfire. Once again, you finish your watch. Sun starts to rise. Again in the sky. The birds start to sing. Sky turns from the dark purples and oranges into the yellows and reds, and sun comes up. And you wake everybody for the morning day, the next day. Everyone is rested. Fire's still going. Fiona puts on water, starts organising a morning meal.
Pet's tooth must be still hurting.
Possibly.
Can anyone else smell that?
Smell what?
There's that. Oh God, it's all over me. The smell of beaver, like it's been rubbed all over me.
And Het, as you wake up, you look around your tent, and you see these footprints, little muddy footprints, all up the side of one side of your tent. You look down, it's all over your clothes, all over your cloak. You sort of reach up and touch your face, and you got mud all over your face, and it's everywhere.
What the hell? What happened? Who was on watch?
You know,
Jayla, were you chasing that beaver again?
I was. It was coming in to eat you. I don't know if you know much about beavers, but they're ravenously hungry. And I basically saved your life, so.
Oh, in that case, I thank you sincerely. Het wants to make a check. Is she on the level?
Make an insight check.
Don't do that.
Oh. 6.
6. As far as you're aware, she is on the level. She is telling you the truth.
Het pats her on the shoulder and says, "Thank you. We owe you a debt of gratitude. I'm surprised I didn't wake up with all that noise, but nonetheless,
Anytime.
it's good to know. I'll keep you in my good books, fair." Say, what race are you? What are you? You're Elven?
I am a wood elf.
Excellent. Don't think I've had wood elf.
Okay. Namaris, I have eggs for you.
I think I might go and look for some mushrooms to go with those.
You would have had enough mushrooms from the night before to save over
I
for
thought
the
I'd
morning.
put them all in the stew, but that's alright.
That would have been overpowering if you put them all in there. They were pretty big mushrooms.
Alright, well, there you go. I got some mushroom. Thanks, Fiala.
Right, so you all sit around and organise yourselves a morning meal, hot drink. You pack your camp ups. It's probably take you a couple of hours, or probably an hour, maybe just over an hour to break camp, put out your fire, make sure that nothing is left smouldering to start a forest fire. And Hit, you know, probably from where you are here, you're probably about roughly a day's walk. So you're probably going to be reaching the boundaries of Arnis probably by about nightfall.
We should get to Arnis, my home village, by about nightfall.
You got a full day's travel ahead.
So we should get a cracking, team. Not the monster a kraken, but get a cracking.
Get a move on.
That's the one. Get a move on.
All right. So again, marching order for our day's travel. Again, you come back down to the path, which is now opened out to more of a gravel road type deal. Again, not
be
well
the same
used.
as before anyway.
Same as before?
Same margin more.
No worries.
It would definitely be up front, maybe with someone beside, like, not single file, but like sort of just offset, I guess.
I'll wander next to him if you like.
So we'll set you in a sort of an offset position. That's fine. So you guys continue on, following this makeshift sort of path, which is sort of widened out more into almost like a road. Like you get a cart down it, but you can tell this particular road doesn't get used all that often. It's a little overgrown in parts, but still serviceable, and it's relatively easy to follow. Hit, you know that this road definitely leads to the direction to the city of Arnis, and probably there's a crossroads or something coming up sometime. You're not 100% sure how far it is away, but there'll be a crossroads coming up which will have literally a dragonborn statue pointing the way to Arnis.
So, team, there's a crossroads coming up, and it's got this mean dragonborn statue which kind of points the way to Arnis. On the crossroads, it's a ritual. We have to stop and play a little music.
Insight check.
Roll away. You're checking to see if he's bollocksing you again.
That'd be a 24.
Is Hit lying?
This time Hit will be on the level. He likes to come to the crossroads and play a little ditty in front of the dragonborn statue.
But is it actually required?
No, it's not required.
Well, Hit thinks it's required.
He
does
it.
it.
It's his own ritual.
It's a ritual that he started, so technically he's not lying.
Okay, I was just
he believes it's a ritual for himself, not that everyone has to do it. But.
It's his ritual, but I'll make a note.
So you set out in that order, Hit sort of leading the charge, heading towards Arnis. You travel probably a couple of hours, no real incident, and nothing much catches anyone's attention. Everyone roll a perception check for me. Just a general perception.
I'm going to go with my passive, which is 15.
Yeah, 15.
15?
18 for Hit.
18?
11.
11? Alessandros?
So, I'll go with the passive. But
Go with your passive,
I did get a nat 1.
So you got a natural 1. Okay, well, even with a nat 1, it was a group roll, so the natural 1 was pretty much swallowed up by the rest of the 15s and stuff. As you're sort of wandering through this next part of the jungle, sort of now turns more from sort of beachside jungle, palm trees and vines and stuff, into more of an actual forest. The path becomes more worn and more used. Fiala, you probably hear it first because you heard it the night before, is that strange sort of high-pitched sort of howl, yelp type sound just off in the distance. Hit, you hear it as well, and Sadiq, you probably hear it, probably don't take as much notice as Fiala does because she's heard it before, and Hit, you've definitely heard it before because it's from your area. You know exactly what it is, and you know it to be the cackle and half-pie howl of a knoll.
Did you guys hear that?
Yes, I heard it clearly. I believe it's a knoll or something of that description. No, I'm pretty sure it's a knoll.
I don't think I've seen one of those before.
So, Namaris, Fiala, Sadiq, and Alessandros roll a history check for me. Actually, intelligence checks for me.
That would be a 2.
2?
9.
Pardon?
9.
2 and
16.
9, 16. And
One.
Alessandros?
1.
Oh, God, a natural 1. So you...
Burn those dice.
Need I?
So, Alessandros, you think knoll. You think, what the hell's a knoll? You got no clue. Sadiq, you're much the same. You the name's familiar, but you just can't recall what it could be. Fiala, you've not seen one, but you have heard of them before. Begilia has told you of these creatures called gnolls. They normally hunt in packs. They're sometimes quite feral, and they eat strictly meat, and normally will raid villages, small villages, and caravans, and will take humans and elves and things. Basically, eat the cannibals for all intents and purposes. And Amaris, you've heard of gnolls, but you just kind of distracted, trying to look for more mushrooms, and you kind of think, gnoll, whatever. You're not really too concerned. But it sounded like Het, you heard this, and you've got a fair idea that they're close, but they're not like too close at the moment. But you know that if it's just one, you're probably okay. But you sort of, you know that if you hear more than one, you've possibly got a problem.
And I do know they would travel in packs, so I imagine.
As a general rule, yeah.
Just must be careful here, team, because I feel like where there's one, there's many. They're like cockroaches, these bastards.
Did that sound pretty close or far away, you think?
It would, you would have probably, with your skills, you would probably put it probably within sort of 400 or 500 feet. It was distant, but it's close enough that you could hear it quite clearly. So they're not maybe an hour away, if sort of that, if depending on which direction you sort of travel. You can't really pinpoint the exact direction, but
How
you know
far
it's
will we
fairly
be
distant.
from Arnis at this point?
Probably 5 or 6 hours from the gates. You're probably about halfway on your halfway point by about now.
So we've got about 5 or 6 hours till we get there, team. So I'm thinking we just need to keep our wits about us. I'm hoping the gnolls haven't decided to head towards my town and make an attack, because that's the sort of thing they do to get meat when they get desperate.
By this point, you would also know that the crossroads is probably about an hour, maybe an hour and a half from your current position.
We don't want to get caught on the crossroads in the open either.
The whole area is pretty well treed. Like this, the crossroads is not a big clearing. There is a bit of a clearing there for the roads, obviously, but the trees and somewhat built up around this whole area anyway, right up to the city, sort of to one side of the city. So you do have a reasonable amount of cover to the crossroads and probably through the crossroads.
If I was going to jump someone, I'd jump them at the crossroads, though, I reckon.
There's a possibility.
We'll keep careful, I believe. Sadiq, maybe what's your tracking like? Maybe do you want to take point here and see what you think?
No, I can always try.
So Het would give you, do you give Sadiq a description of what because you've seen probably gnolls in previous raids, so you give him a description of what a gnoll looks like and roughly what size footprints and what to expect?
So what we're expecting here, Sadiq, is a wolf-like or a jackal-like features, but a humanoid stand-up type position. Paws, but large paws for the feet. Once again, humanoid standing position. It's similar to our height, sometimes taller. Usually travel in packs, but yes, you're looking for a large wolf print almost. I would say would be a rather correct description.
Sounds pretty good to me.
And
Okay.
I'd point him in the direction of sort of where we're headed in, as well as sort of what to look for, I guess.
Yep, no, that's cool. So for your next, let's say next hour of travel, you guys are intently listening And Sadiq, you are looking for telltale signs of null activity.
Yep.
So I'll get Sadiq, you roll an investigation check with advantage with the knowledge you've been given for the next hour, off and on the path. So it's sort of just off the path. You're looking around the roadside and just into the roadside, sort of having a good sort of scout around, looking for any sort of telltale sign.
That'll be a 16.
16. You notice several different tracks in your investigation. You see tracks that could be quite possibly a small bear, maybe a bear cub. You see deer tracks, which are common in this area. You do see some large wolf tracks, but they seem more wolf than humanoid. They're not big enough to be sort of a bipedal creature, more so an actual wolf print. So you don't really find anything telltale of a gnoll, but the group as a whole, you hear that same cackle and howl. This time another one comes from another area, sort of off to the distance and a bit further off, almost like a communication, and almost like that hyena type cackle and so that real high pitched sort of laugh that a hyena gives. And again, Het, you know instantly that there's definitely gnolls around somewhere. You can't pinpoint the location. You don't think they're at the crossroads. It doesn't sound like it's the right area, but you can never tell. They do travel pretty quickly, and as you say, the crossroads would possibly be a good place for an ambush, but you also know that the Arnice City Guard patrols the crossroads quite frequently as well. So it's a 50-50. But you have to go to the crossroads to get to Arnice. You've never been anywhere outside of the crossroads. If you were to go across country, you're not sure that you could find the right direction, sort of where you needed to go. Pretty dense bush.
Het thinks it's pertinent to follow the road, but maybe just off to the side, sort of, and maybe try to not to be in the direct clearing if these things are getting closer.
I'm going to agree and also ready my weapon.
Okay.
So if we do get attacked, I can pull it.
You're going to have your weapon at the ready. That's right. Anyone else want to ready their weapons?
Been you
Yes,
already
technically
walking with
so.
one?
Because I would say now you're probably only about 25 minutes away from the actual crossroads.
Het has his loot up as if it was a gun.
So you continue in this format. Sadiq, you still continue looking for signs of any gnoll activity. You guys now, path narrows again, which you know as the sort of leading into the crossroad area, and as you lead up, heading into the area of the crossroads, this is what you see. You are on this path here, in this particular area. As you round this bend, you see the statue, the large dragonborn statue, pointing to the east towards the city of Arnice. Neymaris, you instantly see a large grouping of mushrooms off to the right hand side of the road, just off into the trees. What are you going to do?
I look at them longingly, but also realise that there's something out there, and I don't want. I can get there without leaving the party too much.
You don't know there's anything out there.
Well, if these guys if he's tracking something, that must mean something's up.
Is he tracking something though? He's not found anything.
Alright, well, I'm gonna go and get my mushroom.
You find some blue mushrooms, and you see those red. They're just off to the side of the road, just as you hit on the road there. You find a small patch of blue mushrooms. There's the regular brown mushrooms, and then there's the red toadstool type things that you found before that you didn't like too much. It's just a big pile, just like a big patch of them, sort of right there, just off the side of the road.
I'll pick the blue and the brown ones.
You leave the red ones. Fine.
I didn't like the taste of those.
As you pick the blue mushroom, roll a constitution saving throw for me.
Oh shit. I rolled a 7.
7?
No, 9, sorry.
9 doesn't really help you. As you pick that first blue mushroom up, and you put it into sort of the crook of your arm with the rest of the mushrooms, it sort of almost collapses as you drop it into the other mushrooms and gives off this bluish greeny sort of puff, like almost like a puffball, and gives off this bluish greeny sort of cloud of stuff into your face. And you take
Hang on.
6 points of poison damage.
I should have had advantage on that.
Not on poison damage.
No. On the advantage on Dexy and on its dexterity.
Did I ask you to make a dex save?
No.
So no, you don't get advantage. You take 6 points of poison damage because you got a puff of poisonous smoke right in your face. You are not poisoned, you just take the poison damage.
Right.
So
Do we see all this?
Yeah, you guys see her sort of go, "Ooh, mushrooms," and she sort of takes 4 or 5 steps into off the path into the right and hit. You know the blue mush. You know these blue mushrooms. You see her pick it up and put it in the thing, and you go to say something, but it's too late, and she gets just sprayed with this powder in her face. You know these mushrooms are toxic as shit. You can't eat them. They thrive around other edible mushrooms, but they're just noxious and annoying more than anything else. They're not totally dangerous, but they can do poison damage to you, but they won't do much else than that.
Namara, never mind.
Are you
I don't
okay?
think I like those ones.
So with that, get everyone to make a general perception check again, please.
Dirty 20 for hit.
Dirty 20,
15. Oh, you got 15?
15.
24.
Ooh.
We'll go.
And I got a 22.
Okay, so we'll use the group's average here because I'm pretty sure Elishonis's was shit.
I roll a 3.
What a surprise!
Fucking hell, dude.
What's going on now?
And he's using real dice tonight too.
That's the problem. You should be using the dice roller.
It's just as bad.
Yeah, you all notice it. Elishonis probably doesn't notice it quite as quick as everybody else, but Damaris, as you sort of stand up, coughing and sputtering from this bloody mushroom, you notice off to your right hand side, you see a movement in the trees. Hit, you sort of glance off to the left of the roadway, and you see the same quick movement through the trees, bristling dark brown and grey fur. You all then hear that same cackle, but it comes from several different directions, from in front of you, from either side of you, across the road, across the crossroads. You hear it across here, sort of slightly elevated, and I mean, you all, now that you've been discussing it, Hit, you know exactly this is a knoll. They're definitely gnolls. You're not sure how many. You can't see them as yet, but you are definitely being tracked or are about to be ambushed by a gnoll raiding party. What do you do?
Hit instantly grabs his loot and plays a little ditty. He says, his little ditty. Come on, Paige, where are you?
His little ditty.
Flipping through my book. United, united, united we stand. And he strums a discordant chord on the lute and gives everyone except for himself bless.
Ooh, that's a D4.
Wait, that's a... Let me just double check because it's a higher level. Bless up to 4 creatures. So any attack roll or saving throw before the spell ends, you can roll a d4 and add it to that attack or save.
Right, before we go into initiative, I'll give everyone a free action to begin with, but we are 10 past 10, so before we actually go into combat, Hit, how much longer can you go for tonight? Because I know you got work tomorrow, so...
Yeah, pretty much just
half 10 cut
10:30.
off? Yeah, okay, so we won't, what we're probably going to do is give everyone a free action. We'll roll the initiative, and we'll call it there before we actually hit combat, and we'll enter the combat next game. Just because we're so close to cut off time. And we'll literally pick up the combat at the very next game. So I will get everyone have a free action first. So you've cast your bless on the group.
Correct.
Namaris, is there anything you want to do before we actually initiate combat?
I'm just going to ensure that my weapon is at... I might actually charge it for this one.
Did you charge what? Are you going to use the charge on your weapon?
Yep.
So make note of that you've initiated the charge on Helm's Vengeance.
I've done it. Yep.
Fiela, what are you wanting to do as your free action? So you can use a bonus action or an action.
I am going to go over to Maris and touch her on the shoulder and use Gift of the...
Gift of the show, so you're going to heal her.
Yeah, and that is for 6 points of healing.
Thank you.
So you retrieve the 6 points you lost. Well done. Alessandros, your free action.
I'll use the prestidigitation, whatever.
Prestidigitation, yep.
Get that, and conjure up a black worm.
A what now?
Wormling.
You want prestidigitation is not a minor illusion.
Oh, sorry. Then no. Okay, then.
Yeah, the prestidigitation is pretty much what it does. Is that you can clean something up, make something dirty, that sort of thing.
I forgot.
Yeah. So you've got a minor illusion, yeah?
Yeah, I will do that one instead.
So you're gonna drop a dragon wormling
Behind us.
Behind you or in front of you?
Behind us.
So that'll be away from where the gnolls are.
Just behind us, so the gnolls can see.
Okay. So I see what you mean. Yep, we can do that. Because what I'll do is I'll show you guys what colour dragonling. Which colour would you like?
Black.
Black one? Well, that's the only one you've seen, yeah. So, well, no, the blue's the one you've seen. You want a black, so drop that in behind you.
We saw.
Blue one. There's a blue one you saw, wasn't it?
Black.
Oh no, it was black, sorry.
Black one.
We're gonna put you there. You're there at the mushrooms. You're there. You've moved up to there to do that. And Sadiq, your free action.
I'm gonna light my sword like I normally do.
So your sword is ablaze. So I'm just gonna give you guys a quick nosy at the battle map here. So this is pretty much your guys' position here, moving into the crossroads. Namaris at the little mushroom pile there. Hit on the road. Fiela, Alessandros and Sadiq there. The dragon is there behind you guys. Just move that forward so you can actually see it. You got your crossroads there, and even though you can probably see those gnolls hiding in the bushes, you can't actually see them. But they will be there for next week.
Hopefully the dragon scares them enough.
Well, we never know. So guys, we will leave it there for this week, and we will pick up the initiative order. I'm going to leave the table pretty much as it is. So we'll pick up the initiative order next game. So it took us a little longer to get here than I expected, but it was good. It was awesome. We had some good roleplay. Awesome roleplay moments. We had some new people in the chat, which is even better. So we are going to call it there a little early, because Het has work early in the morning, so we don't want to keep him any later than we have to. So thank you everyone for coming tonight. As far as XP tonight, XP for roleplay, let's say had 2 days on the boat. Had some pretty cool funny moments. Let's say 300 XP each for roleplay tonight. So mark that off. If you level up, let me know so I can alter bits and pieces in the overlay.
120
No.
to go.
120 to go. So
120 to go.
oh, pretty
Mean.
close.
Stop
So
get bitching.
next week it'll be a level up 2, I'd imagine. With
I
the
got
battle.
2,500 to go.
Yeah, you're a little bit behind, but you'll get there. Like I said, guys, at the start of the show, we had an amazing thing happen on Friday on the stream. We reached our 25 sub goal. So we gained a new emote, which is coming. It's in pending stages at the moment, and it initiated our merch giveaway, which I said I'd do when we hit 25 subs. So on the 22nd of November, live on stream, we will be drawing the 3 t-shirts from the merch store, which will be subs only, will be in the draw. So if you do want to be eligible for that draw, you must sub. Subs are not expected by any way, shape or form. If you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. I appreciate you guys hanging out and sharing our story and sharing my gaming journey and my streaming journey. Good to see a number of new faces in the chat tonight for the D&D. It's amazing me that we're still getting people coming in from all over the world to come and watch us play a game that not many people, some people know about, some people don't, but awesome nonetheless to share our story with everyone. Sen dropping 101 bits. Dude, thank you very much. Appreciate it. The VOD for this week's D&D will be up on my YouTube in a couple of days. I'm going to have to download it in 2 parts and reassemble it. So it'll take me a couple of days to do that, but we'll get that up. So those that have missed the previous shows, go to my YouTube. It's in the description down below, and you can see all the previous episodes there. Tomorrow night on stream, 7:30 PM, we will probably be doing some either Ring of Elysium or Modern Warfare. As much as Drax hates Modern Warfare, fuck you, Drax. We play that game because I enjoy it, and you'll damn well enjoy it as well.
You tell him.
But guys, thank you so much for joining us again for episode 16 of the Paradym, and we wish you all the best, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
And fuck my dice.
And fuck Trash's dice, because his dice are shit. So without further ado, see you later, guys. Thank you for the follows, thank you for the support, and we'll see you tomorrow night for some gaming.